very, very beginning of our work 17 years ago. In fact, our very first program was held right in this room. We had 12 people, and we're really just delighted that Plymouth has been a strong partner with us, and the pastors and, like I say, the lay leadership and the members of Plymouth have been very, very supportive. So thanks to Plymouth Church. Restrooms are right out the hallway here. The men's is just a quick left as you go out the door, and the women have to walk a little bit further down the hallway, but both restrooms are on the left-hand side. We really want to get to our speaker, but I just have a couple of more announcements. You have on your seats the 2020 Indiana Center programs for the year. We're really excited about our program schedule. Of course, while we're excited and really delighted to be welcoming the speakers here, the reason we exist, right, and the reason they're coming is because of severe human rights violations, ethnic cleansing, and real injustice throughout the Middle East, but particularly in Palestine and Israel. So there's a certain gravity to our programs, and we're delighted that our speakers will be coming to talk about not only peace and justice in the Middle East, but also Islamophobia overseas and particularly in our country. So take a look at our programs for the year. Keep this sheet of paper, mark the dates down in your calendars, and please join us and invite a friend to come along with you. I want to highlight just a couple of the offerings, though. At the bottom of the first page, Black and Palestinian Voices, a Washington, D.C. field trip. We do have some openings. It says that we are at our capacity. We're not at our capacity. We have some openings. So please let me know if it's something that you're interested in. You can talk to me after the program and give me your email address, and I'll send you the information that we've been able to finalize with the hotel and all the rest. Also at the top of the second page, we're presently putting together the roster and list of participants for our 2020 trip to Palestine and Israel, where we meet. We don't just see the holy sites, but we meet with Jewish, Christian, and Muslim religious leaders, political leaders, NGO leaders, those people who are really on the ground and very, very involved in making a difference for peace and justice in that troubled region. You don't have to stand up, but how many of you in this room have been with me on one of my solidarity tours? So I would really encourage you, those of you who haven't, thank you very much, folks. Those of you who haven't been with me, please consider joining me. We have an information meeting this coming Thursday, and so if you're interested in more information, please see me tonight as well. Or if you have a friend who you think might be interested, let them know, and then you can let me know their name, and I can be in touch with them. These two trips are really at the heart of our mission to really highlight the injustices that are taking place in this country, in these rather dark days in our country, as well as in Israel and Palestine. We're really happy that Bibi and her husband Saber have brought, and some of their friends have brought some items from AWAKEN. And so they're back in this corner on a couple of the tables. They're for sale, and I think Bibi or Terry will talk to you more about them. But take a look at them back there before you leave tonight. And also our friends from Friends of the Third World are here as always, and you'll want to stop by and see some of their wares before you leave tonight as well. You know, one of the real treasures in our community, and I don't say this enough, but really one of the treasures in our community is Terry Doherty. He's the chair of our board at Indiana Center for Middle East Peace, but he's really known throughout the area because of his work with School of Leadership Afghanistan, school, a residential school for girls, but also just his advocacy for girls' education and really for human rights in Afghanistan ever since he was a Peace Corps volunteer there maybe 100 years ago. And Terry really is not only an activist, but he's also an educator and really a scholar. And we're really just, I'm proud to call him my friend. And he's really, like I say, one of the treasures in our community. And so I'm going to turn the evening over to Terry now to introduce our speaker and to say a few words about the evening. So Terry, please.
Thanks, Michael. That was too kind. Isn't it a beautiful day in the neighborhood? And we just went to see the movie last night. And those who know me know how emotional I get. And it's an emotional movie. But anyway, this crowd makes me think of what a beautiful neighborhood we have. First off, I put this up. Does everybody know where this is? Anybody know that doesn't know what that map is? We've been at war there for the last 18 years, just the U.S. No, 20 years almost. But actually before that. And Bibi and her husband Saber are going to tell you about the province that they came from that is marked in red on this map. And to the south of it is Pakistan, and a little bit to the north of it is Kabul. And it's I think, the heart of Afghanistan, personally. I love the place. I got to go there in training, and I'll never forget it. So, with that, I'm here to introduce Bibi Bahrami. And Bibi was born and raised in Behsood, Afghanistan, where she was introduced to her future husband, Saber, by their mothers at a very young age. There was to be an arranged marriage. Saber had gone off to the university, and Bibi was a young girl. And Saber's mother wanted to keep him out of trouble. So he told me that tonight in dinner. So Saber became an exchange student in the U.S. And then when he studied in the United States for a year, after that he went back and studied at the university in Kabul and got a medical degree there. And so he studied medicine at the University of Kabul. After the Soviets invaded Afghanistan in 1979, the Bahrami family became refugees. And Bibi came to Muncie, Indiana in 1986 to live with her husband, who had come to the United States and gone through a residency program in family practice medicine. After he completed his residency in the U.S., the Bahrami family has been an active part of the Muncie community for over 30 years. After learning English and earning her GED, Bibi went on to receive her degrees, and I understand master's degree, right? Yeah? No? Okay, bachelor. Well, at Ball State University. In 2002, she founded AWAKEN, which stands for the Afghan Women and Kids Education and Necessities, in order to give back to the Afghan women and children she had left behind. Through Bibi's leadership and the support of her community, AWAKEN has significantly supported education and health care for thousands of Afghan women and children over a decade. These women live in a district of Afghanistan which is often overrun by Taliban and Islamic State violence. And in Afghanistan, they prefer not to call it Islamic State. It's Daesh. It's not Islamic. IS and the Taliban have gotten it mixed up too. But Bibi's work in education is reaching out to the internally displaced refugees who come to their home province where they grew up. And they lived and grew up in Behsood, which is in Nangarhar, on a major road between Kabul and Jalalabad. Bibi is also a member of the Muncie Rotary Club, the Interfaith Fellowship, and she's president of the Islamic Center of Muncie. She's the recipient of the Vivian Conley Award for Humanitarian Service, the Indiana Women of Achievement Award, Ball State's International Development Award, and Rotary's Viva Award for volunteerism. She's dedicated much of her life to the service of others and strives to make a difference in any way she can in the local and international community. And I'd like to say that tonight, after you've listened to Bibi, if you feel so inclined that you want to contribute to the AWAKEN program, we've told her that contributions that you give tonight, and you can go over to the table, she's got materials from AWAKEN there. You can make a contribution to Indiana Center, and we'll see to it that it goes to Bibi for AWAKEN. So with that, oh, and Bibi fixed my hat.
Good.
So it fits, but it's too warm to wear in here. Anyway, this is an Afghan pakol, and thank you, Bibi, for fixing it, because I couldn't get it on my head before. She's taking the picture. So,
Big smile.
so please join me in welcoming Bibi Bahrami, the founder and president of AWAKEN. And I'll be right here.
Thank you.
Cheers. More like.
Good evening. I'm honored and humble and grateful to be standing in front of all of you. And thank you for having me to share my little side, which I hope it's not going to be boring, my story and background, and then we'll kind of end it with my beautiful nationality that I chose to be here. Just starting with a little bit of my nonprofit. As you know, it's a 501c3 organization in the state of Indiana. We have been incorporated since 2002, and we have been total blessed in our community, and the support from our community is overwhelming, and very, very grateful for all of that. And we just go to, let's see if I can get used to this. Just kind of giving a little bit of my story, who I was. It's going to take hours. I'm not going to go through, I'm going to just kind of slide through who I was. Did I say? Yeah. This is, I was born in Behsood District in the Qala-e-Malakh village. It's a small, it's a Hopper village where we are working actually, where I was born. And born to a middle class family, I was blessed to be in a middle class family. My father was a businessman. And we had actually our own house, and we had some room for homeless people. It was a blessing to be into that kind of family. I was always helping those people who stayed in our places that were for homeless, or travelers who didn't have a place to stay. We let them stay. And I was always the first one to offer and go take them some food in the evening from my mother. And peacefully living there, enjoying the beauty. We had animals. I was a tomboy, taking care of animals, and working and studying. Also very interested, and we had the mosque. We were studying there, and schooling was not in the area, but further away. But during my time, I studied at home in the center, very little, and just working with my mother. And when the Soviet invaded in '79, our peaceful life was changed, and my father came from a business trip that we had to, was 3 in the morning, that we left our home with a pair of clothes, with nothing else. We left everything behind, and for our life, to go through the mountain in different routes. And sometimes you see on television, TV, like, oh, this is difficult, but when you go to it personally, it's very difficult. with a mother who was 8 months pregnant and sick, and all my brother and sisters and father. It took us a while. And one interesting thing was, I kind of highlight that, in the mountain we were able to stay. Somebody gave us a place to spend the night and rest for a few hours because we were walking a lot. And they gave us some food, and we're very grateful for that. One of the lady, the homeless lady, we took her with us because she didn't have anyone. And when we stayed there, and this lady, when they give us food when we were going on the journey, they give us some, there was some dry cornbread. Like as the kids, we would not eat that. It was not good enough. I mean, we were humble, but still, it's just what makes you appreciate things. And she put some in her bag. We didn't know, we didn't understand that, but she has gone through that difficulty. She has gone through hunger. She knew that the kids will need it later. And when we were walking through the mountain, when she took that piece of dry bread out, it was the best taste we ever had. And looking for water in the mountain. That was always, I was so like, I always think about it, like even later when I grew up, I said, oh my gosh, that lady, she knew. And that's why we said, walk in my shoe. And then lived in the refugee camp for 6 years with my family. And during that, again, the security reason, all kinds of people were put in the class. We were not able to attend schools or any safety issues, especially girls, because their parents were afraid something will happen on the way. We did not go to school. I was very thirsty all my life, very visually, like seeing myself in a better place, even in the village, in the refugee camp. I was always writing, learning, drawing and knitting and helping the elderly in the community. I learned how to start giving IVs and shots. There was such a dire need. My father was doing those and I did it with him. Became like a medical assistant there to a lot of patients. Beside the other work that I was doing, studying to my brother lessons. Those 6 years went by with all of my activities to stay very busy. And the big blessing was in those 6 years getting engaged with my dear husband, who he has long story. He was volunteering there after he was put in jail, but he lost all his documents. He was volunteering in the refugee camp as well, and his family, and we got engaged there. Again, his mother was very smart to hook him on before he escaped. The only child that she had, and she had worked very, very, very hard. I have such a high respect for her, that woman, to raise this child and then letting him go for education, higher education, to a country that she doesn't even know, she can't even talk to him. But anyway, again, she had a huge vision for education, and I admire her. God bless her spirit. But I came to United States and he applied for me. I know my mother-in-law knew he was not slow. It took him 5 years before he can bring me to the United States. And then he decided to bring me. And we got married in '86 and were blessed. And then a year later, 2 years later, I had a first child, my son Yusuf, who was born. And we went back and brought my mother-in-law with us because she could not come with me at that time. And she lived with us for 18 years, and we were totally blessed to have her here and to care of her. And her wish was to take her body back to Afghanistan and bury her by her brother and sister, her sibling. And I would say, my husband would tell her, like, this is impossible. How do we take you all the way to Afghanistan? But I told her, I said, don't worry. As long as I live, I'm going to take you. She gets so happy. And she dies Friday, and Saturday morning, I was able to take her all the way to Afghanistan. Nothing stopped her all the way, even from Pakistan border to Afghanistan border. Everything, the ambulance, everything was just like running for her. That lady was an amazing human being. When we buried her, there was a spot just saving for her in the village. But anyway, just kind of give you a little bit of that side because she's a big part of my life and a big part of my husband's life, that she has raised such a wonderful human being that I'm enjoying. Let's see, I will go to the Soviet, I'm going to talk about the Soviet invasion. And I'm a little bit off of this if I don't see it in front of me. But unfortunately, most of this demonstration, I lost my dearest brother. My grandfather was shot in his own house. My brother-in-law, my cousins, many family members. My brother was born after many girls in Afghan culture. The boy is like a big thing, and after 6 girls, when we had a brother finally, and he was the one killed. we were all sisters. Were like, we thought we have no life left after that. But again, we live in, unfortunately, situation. We lost a lot of people in the war, and again, these many people in the refugee camp. I wish I had my refugee camp pictures, but anyway, we don't have, we didn't have those technology or phone or cameras in the refugee camp to keep those. And we had some picture. Then when we took it back, we kind of buried him in the ground for the security or safety reason. And this is kind of briefly, I want to show you my family. They are three grandchildren.
Bibi, excuse me. When you turn,
Oh, I can't hear.
we have trouble hearing. So
Okay.
if you wouldn't mind, I just wanted to make sure
Should I do
that
like?
we could hear you.
That's good.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. Maybe this, I'll just kind of look at it a little briefly. It's my family. I have we're blessed with 3 boys and 3 girls, and 3 are married. Their wife and one of the girls had husband. On the right in the end, that's my girl and her husband, and then the boys. But anyway, there is 3 more grandchildren that need to be added to the pictures. I just want to kind of give you a little bit of the family, who they are, and total plus for what they're doing. If I talk about them, it will take me a long time. But they're good kids. And then going back to like, I finished my GED. I was taking classes in Ball State. That's why I say a master's degree. I say my master's degree is in AWAKEN. I was taking classes in Ball State, but then 9/11 happened, and then there was some hope for rebuilding of Afghanistan. I always had the vision when I finish my education, when the kids grow up, I'm going to do something on a bigger scale. Of course, my husband and I, we went to refugee camp many, many times. I remember taking 30 suitcases full of supplies for the woman, potato peelers, threads, scissors, the things that they could not have in the refugee camp. Many, many times. I used to go every year with all my little children. One time I almost lost my child because in the refugee camp they were sick. But that did not stop me. I wanted to reach out to those people and take supplies, medical supplies, and we will have examination, just like a mission trip basically in the refugee camp. But then I was hoping to do this later after the education, and the kids are big. But 9/11, during that time, it was such a perfect timing. There was some hope for rebuilding of Afghanistan. That's the time I started saying, now, my 6th child was just born. I was taking classes in Ball State. I had a mother-in-law at that time with dementia now. I had my both parents sick in the house. I had a huge responsibility. That would go on and on. But I say it's not a good time for me, but I think it's a good time for those boys and girls that are left behind. And I started a nonprofit organization, sitting with some of my dear American friends. Said, this is what my mission is. If you guys can help me, I would like to make my work a little bigger. And this is just a map of the Afghanistan, the decays and the poverty, unfortunately. And the woman and the education is, we only have 15% of some of these women in education. And it was a very poor country to start with. Unfortunately, 80% was destroyed, the schooling and the medical facilities and infrastructure, everything. The little that we had, 80% was destroyed during the Soviet invasion of those 12 years of war. And more. And of course, goes with the clean water and sanitation, with everything. There's just no comparison. But with the AWAKEN, we have a different project that we do. Like our 3 main goals are education, healthcare, and then the vocational center for the woman. I forgot to kind of mention to you that I attended the EGD program. I was so impressed. I was so inspired. So I wish one day those girls who had a wish like myself to go to school and they will have this opportunity. And I think that kind of started in me when I was attending those classes, and I had a pre-child care, and then I got part of the classes, and I was just really touched by it, and I was blessed to graduate from that, and I was, I think, the speaker at the GED program when I graduated. But anyway, these are the different programs that we do for the project that I want to, let's see what that is. Yeah, the healthcare, and then the clean water, and the women vocational center. We'll talk a little bit about each one of them. This was the first school that we built in the Qala-e-Malakh. They used to be just sitting on the carpet. We hired a teacher for them, which you see the picture there. But then when they had this building and all these kids were so happy, I know there are no kids here, but I could tell them like how thankful they were that they have a building structure to go to school, and very, very grateful. And we started with like a 221 students, now we have over 1,500 students. We had to add more room, and the community became so popular because we got a school there. And then 4 years later, we built a clinic. It became more populated. It became so green and beautiful, the village after that. This is our clinic that we built in 2008. I think 2008 we completed it. 2004 we completed the school, and 2008 we completed the clinic. We see over 180 patients, and it's such a dire need. Some of these patients walk for 2 hours to be seen, and they wait for 2 hours to be treated, and it's a very, very basic healthcare. It's nothing like we can compare what we do in our office here in America. And these are some of the pictures of the Saheli Center. And then Saheli Center, we did some big project with the Rotary, which I have it on the slide, and you can look at it. Just wanted to share with you from the Rotary Club. There were 3 different projects. One was sanitation, they're big about the water, and then one was the birthing center, and then was the Saheli Center. Saheli Center was done through Rotary in India for women. It's a little more advanced. We have vocational center through AWAKEN, but we took them 2 years project from them, and they implemented this in Afghanistan, and they did our bathrooms for the clinic, they did the bathroom for the school, and then they did the birthing center. It was $79,000 project. The Rotary Club sponsored that and took care of all of those for 2 years, that we will be continue supporting those. And these are the classes, the healthcare, the computer, and literacy and sewing. I know we have different things. I'll tell you a little bit more about. I'm going to leave a lot of things for the questions because I'm not that good with I'm not a talker. I'd rather be cooking for hundreds of people in the kitchen. I'm very comfortable, but soon I have my place. But anyway, I'll share what I know. Like for example, for the dinner, we do annual dinner, which I invite around we have more than 1,000 people on the contact list, but usually 300 attend, around 300, 350. And then we cook for the Afghan meal. We have buffet, and wanted to thank Terry, who has been the speaker, our honorable speaker one time for our dinner. And we just got a silent action. That's our main fundraiser every year that I do. And then we also have a holiday letter that we send during the Thanksgiving time. And then I do a lot of small different events, like people sponsor, and the money goes to AWAKEN. I have a lot of dinner in the house, a lot of personal connection with people, and that's what most of our funding has been coming from that. This year we did a box lunch, which I know my advisor, K Nation, who is here, it was her idea. We did great with that box lunch this year that we cooked, and people didn't have to stay at the banquet. And of course, our website, you can visit our website, and I think these were the main fund. This is our annual budget. It's like we started from $47,000 to now we are in over $100,000. And we've been total plus because this year we added a mobile clinic, which is our cost of, we have 2 clinics now, the double. And we need more help because the mobile clinic was such a need. These poor women were walking for 2 hours, sometimes in the heat, and they don't even have proper clothes, and they're pregnant, they're holding a child, and they've been seen. The mobile clinic is such I'm so grateful that we can just go to all these small villages and women come out. There's 4 different villages that we go to and serve those and taking turns on the days. And that's such a great addition to AWAKEN's history. I mean, we have been having clinics and we've been taking care of health cares for many years. And we also have, we do scholarship to students. We have 22 students who are going to college. We're only giving them like $50 a month, $75 a month, some of them $100 a month. Some of them have a wife or a child, some of them are single. They can attend colleges and the education part that we are investing in these children. And that's all we have to do. $50 a month can send a guy to college that he can survive his family and his basic expenses for the book and stuff. And they're very, very grateful for that. And we have several graduated from different degrees. They have a job. And we have 22 college students right now that we're supporting. That's our big thing, and our clinic is a big thing. And vocational center, the women are so grateful, whatever. We try to make it convenient for them. We had 3 last year, the vocational center in 3 different villages. We do it every 6 months. When they graduate, we give them a sewing machine and a sewing kit to take home, and then they could sew for others and make living for their family. And these are kind of the focus area at this point. I think we can grow bigger. There is a lot of potential, especially we're coming to beautiful Fort Wayne with such a beautiful, open-minded people like yourself. I am very, very hopeful and thankful, and I'm very thankful for the connection to our dear friend Terry. We're very grateful for that and his dear family, that we are here with you and that we can do good work, not only in Afghanistan, but throughout the world in our local community. And now in my religion, my community has the first right on me, and I think it has been always put my Mansi community on my top. And just giving a little bit to others will bless us in our local community that we're sharing with others in the world. But again, I'm hoping for your support, your contribution, your prayers, your love, and I'm very grateful for all of you that this is existing and you guys making a difference in the community. And I'll leave it to questions.
I thought I'd do the cord is tricky. You can stay up because I'm not going to answer the questions. So, yeah.
Are you going to help me?
I'm going to help you, yeah. So, and I forgot to mention, if you have hearing aids, this church has something called the loop system,
Yes.
and it should come through to your hearing aid. I don't know how that works,
Works
but
very well
it's
in
on.
certain areas of the-
You're hearing it?
No.
Oh.
No.
But
our
people with
church has
hearing
it
aids.
too.
Yeah, so anyway, we're advised that the room is equipped, so hearing aids should hear. But I thought I would take your questions and maybe repeat them and let Bibi answer the questions. And I just wanted to say a word about the mobile clinic. When I went to her organization, I had no idea what I was walking into. There's a very large UU congregation in Muncie, and they have a very large room, and I expected to be talking to maybe a group like this tonight, but she had 300 people there, and she cooked for all of them. And how do you think I got this way? I mean, Afghan food. So, and box lunches. I mean, she puts her heart and soul into this work. But the one thing I wanted to mention was were just funding the mobile clinic, which is a van with diagnostic capability and a driver that takes the diagnostic van out to the villages. And a problem that it was solving was for a village woman who's feeling sick to go all the way to a big city would just be next to impossible. And typically if they did go to that clinic in the city, they were almost dead by the time they showed up. So getting a diagnostic van out to women and women's health And I don't know if you mentioned on, or noticed on the clinic slide, the major clinic slide, they're helping 250 birthing per month. Okay, so they have people assisting women having their children, 250 a month. Think about your medical clinics, how many, you know, and that's delivering the baby. Yeah. So I just, I can't say enough about the work that they're doing. And over 1,000 girls and boys in school. And I also want to just reiterate that this province is right on the border with Pakistan. It's just across the border from Peshawar, not far from Quetta, the refugee camps that at one time had about 10,000 Afghan refugees in them. So, and most of those refugees have been forced back out of Pakistan, and they're moving back into the provinces. So, that's just what she's doing, is providing the solution. Guns and bombs don't do it. It's education and healthcare and work. So,
That's true.
honey?
Yeah, I was wondering, with the mobile clinic, particularly in the prenatal and delivery of babies, do the personnel all have to be women due to cultural constraints?
Does the culture require that the clinic have women staff?
Yes, that's a great question. Yeah, try to emphasize, we do have a male and female both to go in the mobile clinic to see patients. Yeah, that's one of my big things, because the comfort for these village women, they're not comfortable. And my main thing is women, the population of women. That's what I started this organization, because they suffer the most. If they lost their husband in the fighting, their children left behind. But the guys will go and take care of themselves, but women will suffer in the house. They'll sleep in the pain, they wake up in the pain, whether it's a toothache, whether it's a yeast infection, whatever. They never get treated, and they die from it. I forgot to share with you, when I was living in the refugee camp, my dear sister-in-law was giving a birth. And I think that's why the birthing center was such a touch to me and very emotional, because I was a young girl, and I still vividly remember her screaming, asking for help, and we could not help her. Then finally we had asked somebody to bring the car to the refugee camp to take her to the city. She did not make it, she died. And that, my dear sister-in-law and her child was left behind, and I raised him in the refugee camp. And that was such a, I mean, there were like a lot of things. I don't want to take too much time right now. I'm not feeling that well, I didn't do a good job. But anyway, I share what I know. But there is a lot of things that had touched and gone through me in the refugee camp. And also the need, when I go and visit, especially women are crying, their child is dying in their lap. They don't know what the child is dying from. They're helpless. And at least right now, these poor women, they can walk 2 hours to this clinic, that psychologically, they can say, I did something for my child. And I took him somewhere. They can tell me what they feel, at least not so helpless. Even though there's not much in the clinic for them, very basic health care, but still they feel good as a parents. Those kind of things, when I witness it and I witness myself and see those, and it's just heartbreaking. Yeah.
I think you're doing a tremendous job. Don't misunderstand this question, but I am amazed that you are able to do all this. You know, in so many areas of the world, that monetary amount would not get there, or it would be so diminished. And look at what you've been able to accomplish. And is that a problem at all, or are you very successful?
Thank you. I think that's a good point. I think what the blessing is that our personal connection, she's thinking like, you know, with a small amount of money, like when we built the school, it was cost us $37,000. And if I had gone to any other NGO organization, it would cost us $80,000 to $90,000, which we all know where those money goes to the directors and this. Because I have lived in the refugee camp, I have witnessed how we did not receive the thing that everybody was helping us in the refugee camp. Unfortunately, I wanted to go to those hands myself and directly to those hands, that $1 can go to that one woman and that child, not to anything else.
And
I had a big problem with that. And
I would point out too that it's a great observation. If that school were built by USAID, it would probably be $1 million school, and it wouldn't be any better. It wouldn't serve any greater population or any more needs. During a major escalation of the Afghan war, they had, the military had what were called PRTs, Provincial Reconstruction Teams, who sent a USAID officer out with military units to identify needs in the villages. And the officer in charge was authorized to spend up to $1 million. So how much would they spend? They would spend $1 million. and I have another friend at Purdue University, an agricultural economist, who said they would spend $1 million on something that never ever worked. So, and this happens over and over and over again with American USAID funding. It's only through individual NGOs and people like Bibi that this work is getting done. There are organizations doing this kind of work that I could recommend to you in other areas of Afghanistan, but the Afghan people have their problems with bribery and money disappearing too.
Exactly.
So you have to know the culture, and that's an excellent observation.
Thank you. We have a question, and now she was first. You want to take her first?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The women, when they get their sewing machines, I mean, as a young woman, I can remember when I got my first sewing machine that I bought myself. I was so proud of it, and I can only imagine how proud these women are to get their sewing machine. But when they get their sewing machine, what kinds of items do they make, and what opportunities do they have to sell their items to help support their family? Do they only sell in local markets, or are they able to sell online outside of the country too?
That's a very good question, and now I didn't talk about it much on the...
I'll just repeat it
These
real quick.
Okay.
What are the items that are able to be produced by these young women with their sewing machines, and is there a market for them? I don't know, do we have any of the products?
No, we don't.
Okay.
The thing is, even it's difficult to send things back and forth, that's unfortunately. But I think these women, as I said, the first thing is that these poor women, they have not owned anything before. That's what, like, I used to take them to the refugee camp, eat them potato peeler. Like, I mean, they'll be cooking for their husband, they're cooking for the family. They will not even have the proper knife to cut things. I'll take it from them to the refugee camp. But anyway, they're so grateful for this. That's such an incentive that when they graduate after a 6 months course, you know, in the villages, they're so like not as encouraged. But that incentive of sewing machine, they're just running for that. To attend the 6 months course, and then when they're taking it, they're so proud, they're so grateful to own something on their own. And then do something for their family. They do a lot of like local, like in the area. When they learn, then they sew for other people. People pay them, like you and I come to the seamstress, and then they can make a living out of that. And some of them open small businesses through AWAKEN. I know 2 ladies open small businesses, and they share their story that this made their life so much better. They contribute to their family. But like individually, they do their own sewing, and people are paying in the villages. So like other people are paying for that.
I just point out, she doesn't, okay, just real quick, the sewing machine doesn't use electricity, it uses, it's a one-handed sewing machine. You
And
push
they're
the bar
$40 each.
Yeah.
$40 and $50 each that we give it to them, and they're so grateful for that.
Okay, who was next?
We had this gentleman.
My question is, in America, we read so much about what's happening in Afghanistan. We have American troops there, troops from other countries, the Afghan population, ISIS, the Taliban. How do all these groups impact upon the work that you do?
Yeah, how do the problems affect what AWAKEN is doing?
Yes.
And I was trying to emphasize the locale where AWAKEN is doing this is really ground zero of the Taliban and ISIS formation in Afghanistan. It emanates out of Pakistan through this province and spreads throughout Afghanistan. So, and just a month ago, a Japanese doctor who had spent his life there in Nangarhar doing potable water projects was assassinated. So, I mean, it's a dangerous place.
Yeah, that's a very good point to clear. I think we have been total blessed for the last 18 years since I started working there. I think one thing was we tried to make those people buy into it. Like originally the land that we got for the school was, my father was the village leader. He had some land there, and other leader of the villages. We asked them, we're going to build school for your children. Are you guys willing to donate land for this? They all donated land for it. Then they bought into it. It was for them, not for us. And then we also brought the government. They all signed for this, that they want to do this. What it is, the important point that this is not for us, it's for them. And they're very grateful for this, and they're part of it. We make them the decision, not just implement our decision on them. And I think that connection, having in the community with people, because who caused this problem? We all know that. The local, the community leader, the village leaders, they can welcome the Taliban, and the connection. I mean, who are Taliban? They have connection with these people. When they buy into it, they're grateful for it, they're part of it. Thank God, we had none of the attack on us all these years, for 18 years. We have been successful. It's a total blessing. I know we have heard some story about school being burned, school being robbed, but our clinic, our school, since 2004, the school was completed. We've been total blessed, and they're welcome. We give incentive. We turn the school into the Ministry of Education, of course, Afghan, that they will be recognized for the going further in their education. You know, we just give it to them. Or we give incentive to the teacher. We give extra salaries, that they do a better job in our school. That's why it became populated in the area with people. Somebody have a question there?
What's the word Sahil?
What Sahili means? Sahili is, I think, the Rotary Club in La Belle, Florida, and Montana, some other, I know the chair of the Rotary Club's member, head of the group. They started the Saheli Center in India for last, I don't know, many years, like a similar to vocational center. It's more advanced with computer and stuff. When we got this grant from the Rotary, they wanted to implement one in Afghanistan. We sponsored that through AWAKEN to implement it. We were the memorandum of understanding that we will be overseeing it. The Rotary Club in Jalalabad helped us implement this project in our village. Since I worked with her like for 5 years with this grant, it was like $79,000 project for 2 years. And now we got the Saheli Center in Afghanistan. That's from the Rotary. That's why we didn't change the name, because they were supporting it. And we kept it that way. That's good. Anyone? Yeah.
Go ahead.
We hear in some Mideast countries, school is a luxury that most parents can't afford. And they have to pay from day to day, even to send their children to school. How is your education program funded?
Yeah, I'll repeat that. School is a financial burden on families in the Middle East and in Afghanistan. How is AWAKEN funded so that these children can attend school? And I would also just say that in addition to a cost of sending a child to school, girls wearing school uniforms, buying books, the material costs of the school, it's also the lost contribution that child would make in the family if the family was, if she was at home. Because especially for the girls, they're helping in the kitchen, they're helping cook, you know, so the family unit depends on everyone pitching in. So it's not just a dollars and cents cost, it's a family cost that people have to desire. So how does AWAKEN deal with that?
AWAKEN, I mean, we try to give incentive to individual and the people in some of the private schools. We hire some private teachers for the villager in some of the places. They can all send their children to there for the extra studies, and the school is there. And then I think the longer the college student, I would we support the college student. But like some like for the paper, like some family, we might give them like $50 a month for some family, that their children can buy the books and the pen and the paper and the basic things. That would be enough for a whole family in a month. I know we privately, my husband support a lot of his family beside AWAKEN, to his nephews and nieces and my mother-in-law side, my side of family that's separate. We help a lot of our family with that too. I think you're right, because it's very expensive and the income is very limited and they don't have jobs. And also sometimes people tell me, why only the men go to school, not the woman? And there is a lot of question on that. I say, if I'm living there in Afghanistan, and my husband and I, one of us have opportunity, not both of us. I'm 100% sure I'm gonna send him that I can stay with kids and contribute differently. Because the opportunities are rare, the education, the money, and the small percentage of who gets into the universities, then that's what they choose. That's another question a lot of people have, why not women and why only men? That's what they choose, the family choose to send their men to be educated, to be the breadwinner for the whole family.
I missed, did you say you're only boys' school, or do you have girls' school?
No, we have boys and girls.
And girls?
Yes.
And they attend to different schools?
Yeah, we have 4 girls in college right now that we're supporting. The rest of them are boys. We're trying to get more girls to college.
One question that I have is, it's amazing that you guys can go in there, do all that work and leave and be safe. Would you say between the Taliban and not the government as much as Taliban, the reason that you guys can go in and out and help out is because you're Afghans, and they really don't look at the Afghans helping Afghans, at foreigners coming in and helping.
The question, again, is just, how is it that you can go in and out safely into this region? And is it because you're Afghan? And I would add also because you're from there. Yeah, your family is there, you know, and your family provided leadership there and continues to. And so it's a tribal culture, and they care for one another within the culture.
Yeah.
So they recognize one of their own here.
Yeah, and also whenever I go to Afghanistan, I went during Taliban. I know my dear cousin, they were killed by some of my cousins by Taliban and some others. But when I travel, I wanted to see my family. I just like when I traveled to Pakistan, and from Pakistan, I went like any other Afghan. I did not take my American passport with me.
Burqa, she wears a burqa.
I wear a burqa,
Yeah.
try to blend in for
Sure.
security reasons. And even this time when I went to Kabul for a short time, I did the same thing. I left all my documents in Kabul with somebody secure. When I traveled to the other places, I wore burqa and tried to walk like normal. Yeah, that's the security reason. I think that's another advantage, and then of course family connection there. And then my brother worked for the government. That connection was with the government. I think all of this, blessing and helping us, making them involved, and also family connection.
I wanted to add one thing to the school question, because Bibi brought up that they give money to the students, and the students sometimes use the money to take courses. And public schools in Afghanistan are very basic, and students learn very little. And for a student to learn to go to a higher level, to a university, they always need to take courses. And so there are recognized good teachers who then teach after school for a fee, or there are private schools that charge a fee. And so families who desire a good education for their child will pay for those extra courses.
How do you manage the networking between you and all the leaders of the units, the clinic, the schools? How do you keep it all having integrity and
How do you stay in touch?
communication?
How do you stay in touch with these folks
Yeah,
in
how do you
all these
communicate?
different occupations
How often do
and
you go
capacities?
personally?
Good question, especially being a female and dealing with all those Afghan crazy stubborn guys too sometimes. It's not an easy task, I tell you that. I have gone through a lot, but I have fallen, they cannot let me fall. I went to a Kabul on one of the trip, I think I had maybe 40 guys sitting around me, I was the only female.
Wow.
40 around me. I stood up, I said, you guys need to learn. You need to think big. You guys want a female doctor for your wife or your daughter? Where does female doctor come from? That means you have to send your girls to school and you need to respect these women and educate them. I will stand up in front of all of them. It has been tough. It has been. I know my dear respected husband, he's very busy. And sometimes I dialed the number for him. I said, if somebody that I am not, maybe they would, because some of them I can yell at. I can tell them what to do. There's some I say, okay, I'll give it to him, that they want to hear a male voice, then they will think. Sometimes they don't think. But I make them think, I challenge them. I put them on Skype, I put all those guys, like with the doctor recently, I made some changes to the clinic, we had some issue. I said, I want to see everything video, everything picture, and the medication. There was some complaint about the medicine is all gone, the new leadership. I said, I want to see everything right there. Go to the clinic. I want to see everything, what's going on, and try to address it that way. There is the issue. Yeah, it's been like a small thing, but it's a challenge.
Question about the education for girls. Do you have trained midwives for the birthing clinic?
Yes.
And where do they go for that education?
The midwife we have in the clinic and also in the mobile clinic, we have 2 midwives. And both of them have got their education in Pakistan. Well trained in the hospital, and they're very good at their work.
Okay. Does Jalalabad still have a medical school there?
Yes.
We do.
Peace Corps volunteers from the 60s will remember that was a project of the Peace Corps to open a medical school in Jalalabad. And we some of our
What
friends...
was the name of that medical school? John or Betty? I don't know much.
Yeah, you were there before I was, that's why I pointed at you.
I don't remember, okay.
At least one of the doctors who went there to teach ended up at IU, or at least in the Bloomington area.
You know them, friends of yours, maybe.
Dr. Memlin?
Yeah.
Okay, Dr.
They were in
Memlin.
our training program.
Yeah, during their time.
And they had their
okay.
little kids in the training program, and a couple of them.
And Mohammed Khan, who came and visited you,
Yeah.
who lives in Portland, went to medical school in Jalalabad and had American trainers.
Mamdon was at his time. Now he is working in Kenya for almost 20 years.
Who's that?
Dr. Memlin, he's working in Kenya.
He is amazing.
Yeah, when I first came, he was in my wedding, helping out in the wedding. And he said, when I started AWAKEN, he said, Bibi, when you first came, I was 19 years old, I knew you were going to do something in America for those people you left behind. I said, yeah, you
We got married in Dr. Manlon's
church,
church in the
Yeah.
basement.
Oh, nice guy.
brilliant.
Yeah.
So the mullah came to the church? All right. Hey, that's wonderful.
It's a blessing, yeah.
That is, and the other thing on education, the other thing on the education need is that Afghanistan has a few medical schools, but for a girl to leave their village to go to a remote city, to go to college, they need a male to accompany them or a relative who lives there. So, but doing what they're doing is the only sustainable way to do education for women in a culture like Afghanistan, is for the family to support the education and to desire the education for their daughters. And it's not true what you hear, that the men don't want girls educated in all cases. There are many men that would like their daughters to be educated, but the opportunity